Welcome to The Prince's Edge with LaManna, a podcast about how to sell, buy, or build a printing business. Now here are your hosts, LaManna and Ken Okel.
Welcome to the Printer's Edge podcast presented by the LaManna Alliance. Hi, I'm Ken Okel here with LaManna, and today we're talking about two words: coaching matters. And you're coached today, but you've actually been in the other side where you realized you needed coaching.
Basically, Ken, coaching has been in my blood. As a child of one of 11 children, I was coached by parents. Then I was coached in schools. I was coached in athletics. I was basically coached by brothers and sisters and friends and mentorship and so on all my life. I realized I always had drive, but I didn't know where my skill set was at the time when I was a young kid. I was always interested in sports. I always looked at not only the athlete, because I always felt like I wanted to be an athlete and I had potential. I had my own potential. But in the meantime, I realized that I had coaches for sports that had authority, and I wasn't accustomed to authority. I wanted to do it my way. Well, guess what? There's rules of the game, and you had to participate. Plus, you had to be a team member. During my life as a young child, I had some great mentors, which were actually coaches, and they became friends over the years. Because I was well coached, they gave me the opportunity to participate and show my skill, and I was also very competitive. So during that situation, and once again, being one of 11 children, we were very competitive with 8 boys and 3 girls. So
Sure.
It was always some type of game, sports, organized sports, street ball, kick the can, doesn't matter. Chess,
Eating,
checkers,
probably.
eating with 11 children, and being Italian, food is huge. So bottom line is, coaching's always been in my blood. As I observed professional sports back in the day, I was always attracted to the coaches. What strategies were there? What type of weekend, what type of baseball game? We had the Minnesota Twins, we had the Minnesota Vikings back in those days. And then I also, as I aged, I started realizing that I'm not going to be the athlete. So I might as well become involved in sports. So how do I get involved? Coaching or scouting, okay? Scouting athletics. So I started observing the athletic skill of these people and how they got there, where, in a way, I did not. Ownership was also an issue because coaches are usually brought in by the ownership, the general managers, and the Bucks. The Bucks bring in winners. As I developed an understanding of Rocky can't do it alone, and you can't really do it with your buddies because your buddies are also limited, and they're also reaching out, trying to find out the best natural ability, but also the ability to develop a team and leadership and so on. So sports was a great way to understand business. And that's when I started saying to myself, you know what? This is very interesting. And I had the luxury of having people interested in me and in my skill set and my ambition to be a winner, bottom line. That's how I really got into understanding sports and through my own lifestyle and how I even selected my friends, because I realized who the go-getters were, who the winners were, what their experiences were, and so on, and how to win and lose in sports. Now I'll go fast forward to having a family, having my own children.
And you were telling me your son Dan is a freshman in high school, catcher on the baseball team, and the coach of the team goes to you with an interesting fact. What did he tell you?
Well, here I am at high school, 9th grade through 12. I have 2 children in high school at the time. I have my son Dan, who's a freshman, and I have a son, Luke, as a junior. And I go to the table for the parent conferences. And I walk up to the new baseball coach and new English coach. His name is Don. And I sit down and I'm ready to hear the spiel on Dan's discipline and how he's doing in school and so on. And the first thing he does is he leans over and he says, Rock, your son is a D1 prospect. I says, D1 prospect? In what? Baseball. He's a catcher, hell of a catcher. In fact, he's going to start this year as a freshman. I says, are you serious? I didn't realize that. I know he loves baseball, but I didn't realize that he's got this so-called potential, and he's only in ninth grade? How do you know? He says, Rock, I can see it. I've been a coach all my life. I see this skill. I think you should really start planning for that. I says, well, we're going to talk about grades now? So anyway, the first thing I did was, okay, this kid's a stud catcher. Let's get him a coach. Because I realized I was cut as a catcher. I am no catcher, but I love the game and I love this position. And I said, if my son's got this kind of potential, I'm going to give him the opportunity to enhance that. I tracked down a coach, and the first thing I noticed was we're going to start talking about the feet. About the feet. That's what catchers are. It's about their movement. It's about their intelligence. It's about the whole game, calling the game and so on. And so the first thing they started doing is, number one, we got to hire a hell of a coach that's got experience, that got Division I college, maybe even minor league opportunities. And that's how it all developed. So from that date, fast forward, Dan became not only the catcher, just the process of having the right attitude. They would film it, they would work it, and this coach followed him all the way through college, and my son ended up playing some minor league ball. And this guy, eventually, my son became Hall of Fame in high school or in college, all state in college or high school and so on. It was a hell of a relationship experience. And now I see that coach has his children in baseball and football, and he's out there working with this. So it's a long-term relationship, and baseball and the skill set. And these kids have worked together for years, as you know. I was just so proud of that. Now, what does that do for my other two children during that time is we had such good success with third-party outside expertise that my son, Luke, got into tennis, became very competitive, and he's at the point in his life that he's still competing in state championships and so on at the age of 40 plus. My daughter, Laura, same situation. Competitive, got involved. We got industrial psychologists because once I started going through career path expertise, I hired someone that works with adolescents to help them from high school in the transition to college, what the skill set is and so on. So what I really learned from coaching and mentorship is you bring somebody on that has a good chemistry, that has hope, that will really pay attention to the development of children and so on. And I've received that. And that's actually how I looked at coaches. I look at someone like Lou Holtz, because Lou Holtz was at Minnesota for a very short time with the Minnesota Gophers. And his first shot was, his passion was Notre Dame, of course. And everybody knows that history. Well, good old Lou was someone that I respected. Never met the man, but I watched his career. I watched the integrity of his efforts at Notre Dame and his coaches and the school and his beliefs. So that's what I tried to pass on. I had great mentorships, great coaches. My father was one. My uncle was another. 3M in my business career, Harvard Business School, and my network of professionals. Everybody needs a coach. You can't do it alone.
And that's almost the thing I think that applies to the printing world, is when you look back at your situation where you were the parent. Sometimes we can substitute owner and parent, because some companies are like your babies. You realize you had skill for the industry. You had knowledge for the industry, but to get the business, your child to that next level, you needed to go beyond what you knew and bring in an expert. And that is a very important thing, I think, for people to have.
I encourage that. In fact, that's my role today. Even though people might look at me as an advisor, a consultant, industry expert, really what it's really down to basically is helping others get to that next level. Because it's up to them. And it's up to a commitment and a promise, not only to themselves, but to their team. Because that's what this is all about, is growing with your, and I take it very personal. You know, I look at their families, I look at their marriages. Are they working together, unified? At this point in my life, at 64 years old, I have a family of 10 brothers and sisters, all alive. My parents still alive in their mid-90s. We're still unified. We're all different. We all have different ambitions and so on. But I'm also looking at the next generation, which I have my children and my grandchildren and so on. And I'm always encouraging the best. If you got that opportunity to send your kid to Harvard or MIT or whatever school or whatever career they're looking at, good for them. Give them that opportunity, just like when the kids were small, they went to dance, they went to hockey, they went to piano lessons. No matter what, if it was arts, sport, or whatever, and guess what? That's all paying off today. And we all know at this point in our lives what we're good at and what we're not good at. But the fact is, you keep grinding. You keep moving forward because every year is new. Here we're in the month of November. We're in the last quarter of the year. I'm already looking at 2 years ahead, 3 years ahead, 10 years ahead. I'm looking at my Medicare club situation. It's all a huge transition. But the key is there's people out there that have the expertise to help you to the next transition and how to do it right. So bottom line in my whole world is coaching does matter. Integrity matters. And that loyalty and that respect of the elders of helping you through this or the expertise can't be neglected. It's something that you have to enhance, and the people you work with and so on, you want to encourage that. And that's what I do for myself, for my family, my children. I encourage them to go out and be better and be the best person you can and be respectful and kind to people. That's what it's all about.
So if someone is ready to talk to you about possibly receiving some coaching from you, some business strategy, some direction for the next step, how should they get in touch?
It's easy. rock@rocklamanna.com. That's ROCK at ROCKLAMANNA.com. It's my email. RockLaManna.com is the website. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. Call me, 561-543-2323. I'm here for you to give you a hand.
And we were laughing earlier, but as your director of communications, I sometimes coach you.
That's right. That's how we started.
All this stuff. So if you'd like to find out more about my world, go to my website, which is kenokel.com, KENOKEL.com. And Rock, as we wrap this up, I guess there's one more thing for us to say.
See you in the marketplace.
This is the Prince's Edge with Rock LaManna. Thanks for listening.